and welcome to Group Chat. I am Justin Verrier, and joining me, Rob Mahoney, j.kyle Mann, potting at noon Pacific on this Sunday morning, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. Perfect prime podcasting hours, I would say.
He's always got something to say about the schedule.
That's right.
I'm glad that it's finally good enough for you, Justin. I'm thrilled that you're finally in your actual zone.
Well, we've been talking about this on and off pretty much the entire season at this point, and I have something I want to pitch to you guys. A way for adults to play at their peak throughout their day. You ready for this?
I'm waiting with bated breath.
Not really, but let's go. Yeah.
Here's the Shark Tank idea. Coffee microdosing.
So
you intrigued?
You think you've just invented the idea of the espresso shot?
No, it's not about the intensity of the caffeine. Okay. It's about how often you drink the caffeine.
But walk us through it. What's your cadence?
I was going to say this won't sell in Europe. Their schedule as we.
It's true. But I think most people, when they reach for the coffee, it's one, perhaps two big old mugs, right? You're getting the venti, the grandes. I'm talking half a cup or maybe even a quarter of a cup every 2 hours, which is what kind of I've fallen back into. So I drink coffee throughout the day now, but in shorter quantities, in smaller quantities. I'm feeling sprightly.
I think what you're describing is just getting old and washed and needing more coffee.
Sure. But everyone presumably listening to this probably also feels the same.
Well, there is a point where your washedness makes you start thinking about when you should stop drinking it during the day. I know other people who just plow through that and they don't care, but I've never slept well, and I'm like I'm always. I had that conversation with myself recently. I was like, you should probably stop at like noon, Kyle. But my thing is, Justin, I graze all day on like I'll go get a large cup of coffee, a black coffee, because that's it's probably better for your teeth to get a little cream in it, though. Megan was telling me the other day, and to drink it through a straw. I'm failing on that front.
With a new study on coffee every 2 weeks that contradicts the previous study, so I believe that.
I think that one on staining your teeth is pretty consistent. The straw does help.
Yeah,
my teeth are gorgeous. Thank you very much.
No doubt.
Well, but I sip on it through the day. So are you just saying am I gross because I'm not like letting one coffee sit all day, or do I need fresh little mini coffee every 2 hours? And where am I?
I think it'd be preferred, but that's more up to someone's taste and preferences. I think you're just plotting it out through the days. Like I'm drinking coffee sometimes late afternoon, even into the evening. Part of that is because I no longer feel it anymore, but I think I can go at any time of day. And so I'm just like slowly, steadily parsing it out throughout the entire day.
I still maintain that you're like one of the tech bros that accidentally invented the public library. Like you're really just taking us back to the place we've already been. But I support you in your personal choices, Justin.
Thank you. This is what we do here. Basically, just hold my hand and walk through the hellscape that is life together. You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. FanDuel now displays your bet directly on your phone's lock screen. And with the latest updates to the live events and player pages, it's never been easier to be part of the game. And Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December 1st. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now and play your game. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, 1 month awards on the docket today. We're going to go through a lot of different categories. We talked about the biggest surprise teams on Wednesday. That's typically part of this exercise, but we're going to do the rest of it. Best team, best player, biggest disappointment, on and on. We got to start first and foremost with best player. I think we probably all have the same one, and that's Colin Gillespie, right?
Mm-hmm. I can't argue it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, you guys all have Nikola Jokic?
Just move on.
Course.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote down what are we even doing here was my note on this. I was thinking, if Matrix, it's a shame Matrix is already taken as a nickname, because when you watch him play basketball, you're like, okay, this dude is straight up Cypher from the, like he just sees the game so much. We'll get into the weeds of it. He's unbelievable.
Not to be that guy, Kyle, but the idea of making him Cypher from the Matrix is disrespectful. Come on.
Well, let's not labor over the character, the actions of the characters and try to tie them.
Which one was he?
He's not
He's
a
the guy
traitor.
who
It was
betrayed the group
Joey
and tried to
Pants.
turn them into the machines.
It was Joey Pants, but I'm
Yes.
just saying he's Neo.
Tough.
Then I'm fucking it up anyway. It would be Neo. So yeah,
Yes.
he sees the code. Yeah.
He does see the code and breaks the code, frankly. Like, we're getting to the point specifically on anything within about 10 feet of the basket. I don't know that we've ever seen a player more automatic on those shots or really any shots than what Jokic is doing right now.
Yeah, so leading the league in rebounding and assists as we're recording this. His points per game ticked up above 30 now that Aaron Gordon is out. I imagine that will keep hiking up as the season goes along. 72.8 true shooting percentage. The highest true shooting percentage in league history is 73.2 from Rudy Gobert. And if you look at the list throughout time, it's just a lot of recent centers who are basically just putting it back right at the rim. Jokic is now taking more threes a game than he ever has. And so he's a complete outlier in that regard. And the efficiency has been unbelievable to start the season.
Well, the threes are the closest thing he ever gets to an open shot, right? Like those kind of pitchbacks from Murray in particular in the pick and roll. That's as clean and easy as it gets for Jokic. And he's, to his credit, kind of trained himself to actually take them more quickly and not hesitate and the plotting, I'm going to try to reset this and get into another kind of shot. Like, he's good at it. Take that shot. Take the opening when it's there, because God knows the rest of it is going to be tough. It's all going to be contested. It's all going to be through scrapes and bruises and bodies inside. And just the level of touch that he's able to have finishing through contact to hit that sort of true shooting, fucking preposterous. Like, I have no idea how he's doing it. I have no idea how he was the best player in the league last season, and he's significantly better right now than he was last year.
Yeah, he scores in every which way. Obviously, you mentioned he can make it tough too. He can bully you and get down there. He can just every type of play. I love that you mentioned that he's actually taking the shots, like the slow wind up into the three that he would shot fake in the past. Used to just drive me crazy because I just wanted to see him. But he's so efficient all over the floor. I wanted to circle back to like his statistical profile is one of the crazier things ever. Two players in the history of the league have averaged, now granted this is through 15 games, but 10 plus assists, 10 plus rebounds, 25 or more points, 65% or more true shooting. Two players. One of them is Nikola Jokic last year, and the other is Nikola Jokic this year. Then you want to talk about what really, I usually bring this up whenever I talk about Jokic because it just blows my mind. He's that productive. Among the top 20 players in the league in terms of touches per game, Jokic, his average seconds per touch is by far the lowest. So this guy is just, and if you look at his usage types, like the ways that he does it, most stars in the NBA, I think the way that he has become kind of undeniable and you can't take him away in any fashion is he's just an implied paint touch. Like, he's going to get to the paint. He doesn't need it fed to him. He can handle the ball. He can take a guard. He can take a center. He can get into the paint. And then he can post you up and score, but he isn't like heavily tilted towards one mode of playing. Like he's a screener, he's a pick and roll guy, he's a catch and shoot guy, he's a cutter. And if you just look at the different ways that he affects the game, it's just wild how expansive it is at this point.
So the first tremor that kind of shook the water glass of his season thus far was Cam Johnson. Basically a non-factor up until recently. Hasn't shot all that well. He's supposed to be the low-maintenance shooter, make everything easier for guys like Jokic. Hasn't mattered. First three of his first 5 games took 10 or fewer shots. In those games, just didn't matter if he was shooting, just kind of passed the buck. They won those games anyway. He scores 55 points against the Clippers with relative ease because they decide to guard him straight up with a guy who actually guarded him fairly well last year, including into the postseason in Visa Zubac. That was nuts. And then in the most recent game, or 2 games ago, against the Rockets, they're playing him next to Valanciunas after Gordon goes out, and they were actually a +2 in those minutes. A combination that I'm referring to as the Beef Bourguignon front court, because there is so much just heft going on.
Hold, Rob, comment.
It's not French enough. We simply can't go Beef Bourguignon if there's no French guys involved.
What would you say? What about Meat Locker? Because it does feel like going,
Meat Locker.
Walking through a meat locker.
I think I texted you all during that game and said the sheer amount of meat below the free throw line for the Nuggets against the team, the Rockets, that we've talked about all year, is just pulverizing people.
Totally.
The Nuggets were like, Yeah, your move. Yeah.
I like the meat locker because it works both ways. There is a lot of beef, and also if you play against those guys, you are the hanging side of beef, and they're Rocky and they're just giving you body blows the whole time. So I think
That's
it's
good.
working, Justin.
Okay. I don't know if they'll go to it that often, but we should probably talk about Aaron Gordon being out for 46 weeks. That news came down today. Pretty disappointing, especially because this is a hamstring strain. He dealt with these soft tissue injuries last year, including toward the end of the playoffs. I was worried last year as this became a persistent issue. And man, Rob, it looks like it might be again. 4 to 6 weeks is tough because, as we mentioned, they're already dealing with Spencer Jones started this most recent game and was a huge negative against the Kings in a loss.
I mean, it's the combination of not having Gordon and not having Christian Brown. And that just puts so much pressure on the defense, which is, as you saw against the Kings, kind of flailing about, trying to like compensate for the absence of those guys. But then it puts a lot of pressure on Jokic in particular to just carry the team anyway. And the fact that you can put up, that any player can put up 44, 13, and 7 against the Kings and lose, indicative of the state of things, and indicative based on that timeline of the state of things for basically now through the end of the calendar year at least. And it's especially a blow for Gordon because, I mean, he was having the best season of his career on top of having the best season of his career last year, on top of having the best season of his career the year before. It's like, this is just what he does. And his like jump in shooting and scoring in particular was such an awesome story. And to lose that and, at the same time, lose the best, most functional version of one of the top teams in the league, it's definitely a bummer.
It's funny because I had written down at one point that Rob and I were talking about this. Was it last night? I forget. Just talking about Spencer Jones. To that point, he had
Thanks
been
for
kind
the
of
invite, guys.
Well,
You
he had been kind of.
You want to get some Spencer Jones takes off? It sounds, Justin, like you and I might be aligned on this issue.
Well, there's the whole
No,
pester in the group, the group, the literal group chat text thread thing where you're just like, I don't want to be in it. And then like, I just know Rob over the years has been a dependable, hey, what about this? I bounce. Justin, I'll include you next time. My bad. But no, with Spencer
Thanks, I appreciate it.
With Spencer Jones, he had been kind of like a tentatively, I was like, what's going on with this? He's like a little bit of a placeholder. The consistency, though, as we know, is the separator there if you're going to play on a team this good.
Like, they're just asking him to do a lot. And now he is like a designated stopper when he's having trouble staying on the floor because of foul trouble, when he's just a complete non-entity on offense. This is how they have to dig into their bench.
He's a cutter and a shooter. I still disagree with you on that. He's been a shooter every level. He's a good shooter. I just think, I mean, you're going to get more than that? No, you're not. But that's what he is.
He's also built like a player from the 60s or the 70s. Like, he feels like he needs a nickname like Spencer the Real Deal Jones or something, because I just don't know where he came from and like how that body type still applies to modern basketball. But yeah, he was awful in that Kings game. So we'll see.
Yeah. He just has to make people guard him, as all Nuggets role players do. Like, the brief is very easy if you're playing with Nikola Jokic. Like, if you can do the bare minimum of cutting and shooting and force yourself to be a presence that a defense has to respect, all of a sudden the offense is just going to hum.
Yeah. So I did mine kind of like an MVP ballot. I go 5 deep in just guys who have been playing well and deserve consideration for this.
Mm-hmm.
So second, I have SGA. Then I have Luka, who is threatening the lead for free throws attempted in an NBA season right now. It's still incredibly early, and Luka's only played 11 games, but the free throw leaders and throughout history we're talking about are Wilt, Shaq, Luka right now. So that's pretty insane. And then
a lot of
Giannis
Lakers on that
Wemby.
list. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
That's true. It's a good point. And then I have Giannis and Wemby to round out the top 5.
Yeah. I think after that 5, and, we go through this exercise with the top 100 too, that's where it feels like the break is. Jokic is having an amazing season, clearly by our eyes, the best player. Shea has been awesome. Giannis has been awesome when he's been healthy. Luka, Wemby, those guys are all in kind of this tier, more or less. After that, it's really an eye of the beholder among great players on flawed teams that have been a little up and down, great players who are at different stages in their career and having to scale back. It's clearly a top 5. And I would be shocked if these guys can remain eligible if this is not the top 5 on the actual MVP ballot, Justin, by the end of the year.
Yeah. Or first team All NBA. Kyle,
Sure.
Is there anybody else you would throw in the mix there? Even as a 6th?
I had the same kind of guys written down. I mean, I wanted to say we'll probably get into him at some point, but Tyrese Maxey's production has just been, I mean, for somebody who has watched him for a long time, I've just been blown away by it. He's doing things I can't believe. But yeah, Wemby is so interesting because if you go down the normal paths to look for defensive impact, you just don't find the glaring things that you normally find with a defensive player. And I kind of throw this to you guys. Like, is there any play? Because when you watch a Spurs game, I just feel like Wemby's defensive impact is kind of approaching what Steph's offensive impact is, in the fact that I don't even know that we totally have an adequate like statistical vocabulary to capture them. Because if you look, I'm like, I just don't feel like these analytics or these metrics are capturing what I'm seeing with my eyes, because there's just the counterfactual of the shots affected or taken. He just prevents things so much to such an extent that I don't know that I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
I think it's in play. I mean, look, anytime you're trying to quantify that very particular, spectacular, groundbreaking sort of greatness, there's always going to be a bit of a lag, even just like in our understanding of what to do with it. I also think he's the kind of defensive player who just radically changes the mindset of everyone on the floor. Like, you can see a difference in the way, Steph Castle, when he's out there, and the kinds of chances that he's willing to take with Wemby behind him versus Luke Cornett behind him versus like, small ball center Harrison Barnes behind him or whatever. Like, there's just a radical shift in the understanding of what everyone is capable and able to do. Like, that's something that kind of can be quantified, but also kind of can't.
Yeah, it's like one of these physical freaks like Mark Eaton, but if he can move fluidly around the court. Like, we haven't seen those two things combined. And to that point, he's leading the league in defensive rebounds with almost 11. I was wondering, like, if he played closer to the basket offensively, like, are we talking about like 15, 16, 17, 18, like historic numbers of rebounds that we haven't seen since the Wilt types when they were racking up 20 plus? Like, this is otherworldly. You have to completely separate it from just normal types of players sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the other thing too,
like, even with everything you said, Kyle, like, the on-off stuff is still good. Like, it's maybe not catching it to the extent that we see it or we perceive it, or we're kind of filling in the gaps in our understanding of it, but it's still there.
There are places where the obvious box score, I mean, like, yeah, he's leading the league in blocks. Yes, those things. It almost like just doesn't even fully capture it for me at times. I think one thing that really struck me was that Golden State game, the cup game that they had, which was a great game. I mean, one of the great products of the season so far. But watching him and Steph play chess, where it made me start thinking about Wemby is one of the few defensive players I've ever seen where he basically implies that how he puts pressure on your secondary and tertiary options within your offense. Like, the first option, just him being there is like, this probably isn't going to happen. We're going to deter it. And to watch Steph be like, okay, which Steph is the greatest of all time at this. He's like, all right, the ball's over there. I know there's going to be a second action, just him penalizing them on that level. But I just think Wemby affects the game like that, and like no other player I've ever seen.
Well, haven't you been making the case for nopes, which is like players dribbling in and immediately taking U-turns because they won't even try them?
Well, there was a nerd race online. I know Todd Whitehead did a pretty cool one. I think he called him Hell Nas, Todd Whitehead for Synergy. They're all good, but we're all idiots trying to discover the same thing. But Todd's not an idiot. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Just rephrase all that. Yeah. Anyway, no, but nopes is fine. Whatever you like, whatever your conscience permits.
The deterring of playing basketball. Yes. He definitely leads the league by far. All right. Should we get into best team? Another
Absolutely.
Pretty cut and dry one, I would assume, Rob.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's got to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we kind of yada-yada'd past Shea as one of the best players in the league. Obviously, right there in the running, in the conversation with Jokic as well. He's been even better, and frankly, that's kind of been like one of the trends of the season for me, as you're seeing Jokic build on greatness to be even better. When you look up and down this Thunder team, like, Shea has been insane. I mean, he's been as unstoppable as ever. Now he's just a 40% three-point shooter, and that's a thing we're all supposed to accept as reality. He's been, I think, the best clutch player in the league by far in terms of output, but also just like his presence in those moments and how automatic that feels. Chet feels like he's getting even sharper in terms of his feel for the game and like when to space versus when to attack. Like, the balance of what the Thunder need from him, he feels better at managing than ever. Kaysen Wallace is balling out. AJ Mitchell is awesome pretty much every night. I don't even hear a word about Isaiah Joe, but he's just like a damn solid all-around wing now, including like an actually good defender and ball mover, in addition to the fact that he's one of the best shooters in the world. The Thunder just have these guys for days, and somehow they're almost all better than they were last year.
It reminds me of one of these college football programs like Georgia and Alabama, these factories where the guys who are on the bench have to raise their level of play just to get to minutes. That kind of sounds like what is happening with Isaiah Joe, because there have been minutes available, but Case and Wallace, for instance, can't even get those on-ball reps we were all excited to have him explore with because AJ Mitchell is so good. So J-Dub has missed 17 games. Aaron Wiggins, 8 games. Dort, 6. Caruso, 5. Chet, 4. This is like an awesome lineup right there in and of itself, and it just does not matter, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say NIL has kind of changed that with the football factories. We don't have to go down that. I listened to the Klosterman episode that he did a good job talking about that. But no, I mean, you just think about over the course of the schedule. That's maybe one area if they have guys in and out of the lineup that you could find some time for those guys to get time on the mic and work their set, But overall, this team, man, I mean, if you think about when you're thinking about playing a team like the Thunder, usually you're making a bet on, okay, we'll leave this guy, we'll put him in a position to make a decision, and there's just not really many outs for this team. And defensively, they're looking like. Oh, I wanted to say something about Shea. Rob, you were talking about his shooting. I think one of the crazier stats for like a player who is an MVP through this point in the season, he is at 51.5% on pull-up threes and pick and roll. That is not what you want to see if you're in the West and you're trying to climb. That's up 17% from last year. So that's just like that's the Velociraptor learning to a new skill. I don't know. It was already going to kill us, and it's just smarter. Now it has a missile launcher.
Yeah.
It's been, and it honestly, it feels that way. Like when you watch him in those sequences, specifically on the pull-ups, this is not, a point guard who has reluctantly evolved into a spot shooter. Like he is taking those in the heat of actual games of consequence and clutch moments and huge situations, and with total confidence pulling up from 3 now. Like that's not a shot that he will settle for. It's a shot that he hunts down and is hitting at a preposterous rate.
So the defense off the charts yet again. 16.3 point differential, obviously leads the league and is off the charts yet again. 16-1 as we're recording this. Back-to-back was the only loss in Portland, a game that I saw where it was not only a back-to-back, but it was a road back-to-back after an 8 p.m. start in LA the night before. And they were really fucking around with the lineups in that one. There were a bunch of guys out, Chet and Dort, and obviously J-Dub hasn't been there. There was like an extended stretch of like Carlson, Jang, and J-Will minutes. And I was like, these guys are really pushing the limits on how far they can get into their bench. I think Barnheiser at one point joined them there. And so that is the one time that they've lost this season. It's just wild to think because they could easily be 17-0 if they took that a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't do a lot of fucking around otherwise. This is a team that takes all of these possessions seriously, all of these games seriously, and they're able to build up enough leads where then on the back end, they can still get some of those guys into the game, just with, the cushion of not having to worry about the actual stakes. I remain in awe of this defense. We've been talking about which teams are watchable in the league right now, whether that's an offense-driven conversation or a defense-driven conversation. There's so many stodgy defenses that are not fun to watch. That is not the case for the Thunder. They're spectacular. They're ferocious. The way that it fuels their transition play, like all of that makes them so engaging and so fun. In addition to the fact that the difference between them and the number 2 defense in the league is the same as the difference between number 2 and number 20. Like it is just miles and miles apart from anybody in terms of what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they make 2-pointers at the rim and in the short mid range. They make it hell. They make it hell to get the ball in there. They are really, really incredible with their hands. They just have a legion of dudes who are basically. I mean, I'd be interested to see how many like reformed point guards are on this team. There's an interesting kind of philosophy of like curation of people with the guys that they go and get. I mean, Caruso being one of them, but yeah, deflections. You talked about the transition, and they're really, really good. I mean, and they have a lot of room to go. So it's hell playing this team on both sides of the ball.
It is crazy watching their defense because it's more proactive than it is reactive, where it almost feels like the offensive player is the one having to like ward off what's going on here. Just like I've said this before, but Case and Wallace's hands are like meat cleavers. Like, and now that he's playing in the starting lineup, you could see the steals numbers starting to rack up. Like that's a tough test for any ball handler to actually just even make it past half court, let alone try to make something happen in the half court. Yeah. Curious what you guys have as a number 2 option, because there's a lot of competition here.
In terms of the best overall team?
Yeah. because I think Nuggets are in the mix there, especially after the win against the Rockets the other night. The Rockets themselves have been very good. And then the Pistons 14-2. And man, when Tobias and Ivy went back into the lineup the other night, I was like, whoa. Like it was like LeBron seeing Kawhi enter the game at the foul line sort of moment. Like this team could be a lot better in short order.
Yeah, but it really sidelined our guy Danis Jenkins a lot. Now he's like splitting time with Ivy. What are we supposed to do with that?
I saw someone refer to him as a nasty boy as opposed to like the bad boy Pistons. He's like, he's a nasty. I was like, that's disgusting. Let's not do that.
You know what? I kind of like the nasty boys. That sounds like a Trey Kirbyism. I wonder if that was a Trey Kirby pull.
Potentially.
We should do that sometime. Just like pull a quote and see if we can guess what media member said it. That way.
I like this. I don't think the Pistons are particular. Like they're great. They're obviously on an incredible run. If you put them head to head against the Nuggets in a playoff series, I don't think that's going super well for Detroit. So I think Denver is still the number 2, but their injury situation is concerning and is going to change the shape of their season.
I agree with that. I had Nuggets at 2. Even after the Russell Westbrook bloodlust revenge tour that he inflicted upon them the other night. It was a back-to-back after the Rockets game, and obviously they're dealing with injuries, but Nuggets have been the most impressive. If we're going by best, I would say Nuggets with a bullet at 2, Rockets at 3, and then I have Detroit at 4.
Yeah, I was going to ask when an Eastern Conference team enters the chat, really. Houston just... Denver took a legit haymaker from Houston the other night and just kind of executed them, and just it was very, very impressive. Yeah, I'd go Houston 3. Who did you say you had 4?
I had Detroit. You can make the case for Spurs at full strength, Lakers for sure, Phoenix Suns. I love watching the Suns, by the way. They're a really fun team to watch.
They are very fun. I think Detroit has earned the right of the number 4 spot right now. They feel like the one Eastern Conference team that really has it together in terms of their style of play and their culture, and kind of they're getting the rotation back with the guys getting healthy. They feel like they've earned that spot.
Yeah. The Ringer NBA show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get in on the NBA action at any time with live betting on FanDuel. From the first whistle until the final buzzer, FanDuel is your home for live betting. So we're looking at Rookie of the Year odds because, the rookie class pretty intriguing right now. And for some reason, Con Knipple is still giving plus money. He's plus 140, second behind Cooper Flag. Flag probably is going to put it together and is going to have the opportunities to put up counting stats, but Con might be the best player on his team already with Brandon Miller kind of working his way back from injury. LaMelo just being LaMelo, doing all his things. So I kind of like Con Knipple plus 140 as long as we're in the plus right now, taking those odds. Also, if we're looking farther down and looking for like a longer term bet, a bigger bet, Derek Queen plus 1,200, even honestly, VJ Edgecombe plus 1,000. That's like both pretty good. VJ's playing a lot of minutes, so we'll see if that kind of wears him down over time. But Derek Queen, man, putting up like near triple doubles every game, doing some goofy stuff, but fun goofy stuff, and we love that. So take a look at the Rookie of the Year race in total. Con, I think, is going to win it, but Queen, pretty good odds there. And so make sure you do that with FanDuel, because FanDuel is giving new customers $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. The holidays move fast, and Amazon Prime keeps you in control with fast and free delivery. We've all been there. Family plans are fluid. Somebody's not coming. Suddenly they are coming, and you're excited about it. You want to get them a gift, so you hop on Amazon Prime, sort by same-day delivery or next-day delivery, however fast you need it. Line that up with their interests, and it's easy to do because Amazon has everything. Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute, and it just can't wait. Need that last-minute gift or holiday essential? It's on Prime. Head to amazon.com/prime to shop now.
All right, next one. Biggest positive surprise player / biggest leap, because we couldn't figure out how to actually do this. It also might be favorite leap.
You just said favorite leap.
You won't you won't accept it. You tried to skip it. You didn't want to say favorite leap. All right, that's fine.
Because biggest and favorite are two things, I guess. Now, like we're not talking about the players made the most progress.
Biggest
the most
and
progress
favorite are two
that we
different
liked.
things.
Yeah. Okay. So we're doing all of that. Three different things all at once.
Anything you want. Where do you want to start, Justin?
Why don't we do surprise? Because for me, surprise doesn't necessarily mean a leap where you've like become a different player. It's just that it's surprising that you're playing well. And first and foremost, I had two pair of Wolves guys, and Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
Now, the Suns' loss is fresh in our memory, and that was pretty disappointing. I also have Colin Gillespie down here, so maybe we could do them as kind of a trio here. But Julius Randle, just playing lights out. They had like the EPM leaderboard that just came out, and he was top 5, I think, when it first came out. He's down to 9th now, but his overall game isn't impeded by what happened in the playoffs. He's just kind of going around and trucking and being his all-around ball handling power player self. But Jaden McDaniels, I gotta say, like shooting the lights out of the ball and just looks like a completely different player offensively, where he's driving just with confidence and force in a way that he hasn't before. He's just like attacking in a way that belies almost like his steely demeanor, the kind of like I'm out to lunch sort of look that he typically has across his face. Like he's been awesome so far.
He's been awesome, and you can tell how awesome he's been by the way that the team around him wants him to do that shit, right? It's like there's the guy who's sort of breaking from script and going like just kind of doing whatever he wants in a Jordan Poole sort of way. And then there's the Wolves like carving out space and time for Jaden McDaniels to be an active creator and him justifying it, like becoming a really good kind of pull-up jump shooter on those kind of short to intermediate shots, getting all the way to the basket off of some like pretty good ball, like pretty clever ball handling in a way that was just like not a regular part of his game. And so we're seeing him particularly in the like the stretch where Ant was out, but even it's been a part of their kind of regular diet since he's been back. That's the kind of thing that completely changes the ceiling for the Wolves and frankly has bailed them out. Like this is a team that their defense started really slow. They're still struggling to be like actually good teams. The reason their offense has been successful is because of Julius and Jaden, first and foremost. Like those guys playing at the level they have been has really bailed out the Wolves to this point.
Yeah, I was going to say they need him to do it. I think that's probably it's the excitement. This was sort of the original vision for him as a player. It's just the handle, as it so often is the case. The handle was the thing that was going to dictate whether or not he got to do it because he's always kind of been an aspiring, lanky dribble pull-up shooter, and he wasn't quite ready to do that when he got to the NBA. And it was like, all right, and somebody got in his ear and convinced him to be a defensive buy-in guy, and he has traded on that. And you like to see that. That's a maturity that propels players. It's something that you like to see in guys, that they figure out what they can do while they learn how to do the thing they want to do in the NBA. And he's slowly getting there. Yeah, and you love to see it.
Yeah. So I also have Gillespie down. We just got to talk about him quickly. I don't know if this is a surprise because I didn't really think of anything of him previously.
But that makes it a surprise, doesn't it?
I guess so. But he's just been awesome. Like just TJ McConnell, but actually shoots the ball.
Would you say it's been one of your favorite things that has happened? Like one of your favorite leaps that's happened, Justin?
I would say favorite surprises, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
Not a leap.
It's definitely a leap. This is a guy who has struggled to get rotation minutes like all throughout his career to this point. And then all of a sudden, not only is like he getting his first chance, he's had chances. And this is a totally different player from the guy we've seen.
Honestly, the Nuggets could use him right now, which is disappointing. But coming back from down 8 with under a minute, how they stole that game away was one of the craziest things of the season thus far. The jump in the pass and then throwing it off of Dante's shoe, the pull up just to win the game in general. But like overall, just seeing the rebounding numbers that this guy, who's all of 5'11", maybe, I don't know what he's listed at, but there's no way he's like that much taller than 6 feet. Give me a break. Don't even look that up.
He's blogger sized for sure.
But
he's 6'1". Well, we'll see if that's generous.
Which
or
means
not,
he's
but...
like 5'9". Yeah. That's how a dating app works. But here are his rebounds the past 5 games. 7-3, 8-4, 6. He's the best. I love watching him.
Look, the Suns within their roster have like 5 candidates for this. It's just a bunch of guys who are playing at incredible levels after just kind of bumming through last year. I'm not saying they were bumming through, but like the situation was such a bummer and they all had to kind of swallow it down together. Now they get to play free. They're more involved. There's clearly a collaboration there that's really helping a lot of people. And the reason that balance works is because all of a sudden Colin Gillespie is a legit ball handler, is able to take some of the pressure off Devin Booker and Grayson Allen, is like he's kind of a ballast for their rotation in a lot of ways, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, it's just moving out of total despair. Like cohesion and good spirited play is just helped Suns not be the absence of depression. It's not like they're gonna climb into the conversation in the West or anything like that. It's just not being depressed is a huge win for Phoenix, I think, this year.
Absolutely.
You say that, but 10-6, currently the 6th seed as we're recording this. They got a game tonight, so we'll see. But like, they're appointment viewing at this point. Like, I like watching them because they're just good enough to give a much better team like a run for their money. They can play up, and those games are exciting. It's kind of like what Portland has, where it's just like the exact right amount of good in order to make this watchable.
Yes,
and they have a superstar.
They're a good measuring stick for the league in that way. Because it's like, if you're a good team, you have to show up. If you're a bad team, you're trying to play up to the Suns' level of competence. Like they're kind of like a pace car.
That's a good way to put it. So those are my surprises. The other guys I have down here technically fall into leaps more.
Interesting.
So do you guys want to go?
I would say for me, surprise, Tari Eason. Leading the league in 3-point percentage. Fucking wild. And certainly welcome. We've been huge boosters of Tari Eason on this podcast. Like, huge fan of everything that he does, especially defensively and as a chaos agent. If you're doing all that stuff and you're just one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, randomly, inexplicably, you're just vaulting yourself into a different category of value and impact. So if that's the kind of thing that can hold over the course of the year, yeah, the Rockets are going to be that much more formidable in the half court. All these questions we had about like fit and space are suddenly kind of resolved if guys like Tari Eason are just hitting at this level.
I also had Reed Shepherd down as kind of the same thing, but he's kind of a leap though. So
is he a leap?
I don't know. I
would say it's a leap. I mean,
well, it gets into the whole most improved thing. Can you actually nominate guys who were top 3 picks?
But Kyle was telling us Reed Shepherd was basically Jesus Christ. So if anything, this is a step down from who Reed was.
Man, I was really tempted to talk that shit when he was going off in that game the other night. Some of the talking was getting on my nerves. People just acting like it was. Well, people were acting like just act. The low bar talk was just getting on my nerves because it was like, have you all even? It just made me think people hadn't been watching him. There were a few clips that were going around, and I was like, okay. I guess for me, like, it's probably not a full-blown leap because I think it's more about him figuring out how to do the things that he was billed as being good at, getting them on the floor and doing them. Because last year it was just like, all right, you're a spacer. We need you to space. Like, can you just do these basic things? I think if he starts really facilitating and just kind of expanding, I think that fits more the definition of leap. He's just sort of rose to the occasion and applied the things that we knew he was good at, or at least I felt like he was good at to help the Rockets.
If you redraft that class right now, or for like going forward, who will be the best? Is Reed one?
I think I need to see some more. I mean, and I think there are some long-term sort of things that could become an issue because they are still going at him defensively a lot. Granted, he's scrappy as hell. I mean, he's fighting. He's kind of leaning into that dickish energy. I think that's pretty fun because I don't think that kid has a mean bone in his body. But Castle, I think, still has a little bit more of a stable for now. I think we need to see a little bit more. Riza, just speaking to who was one, I had him like closer to 10 in that class. I wasn't as in love with his game, but that'd be kind of, I think I had Klingon one in that class. I'm pretty positive I did because I just thought his rim protection would be stable compared to the volatility of those other two guys.
I mean, Riza is going to be a quality player for a long time, but yeah, that might ultimately be kind of more of a mid-first kind of projection versus a number 1 overall pick. Castle, though, he looks really special. Like just the feel he has, the impact plays he makes on defense, the like random shit he just makes happen out of thin air, combined with the fact that he's like not an implausible point guard. He's kind of come into his own on ball a little bit this season in a way that's exciting for his NBA prospects. Also, shout out Alex Sarr if we're going to have that conversation. He's had a really good year.
Yeah, Sarr's playing more like a big man, and like the shooting is more of a bonus to fill out the all-around game that he has, and it's worked really well. And so those are the top 3 I would have. Just thinking about this off the top of my head, I'd probably go Castle, one with a bullet. I think like he's just scaling up over and over again. I like the way that Rob put it. I think of him more as like a Men Thompson, but more with traditional old school point guard pass first kind of tendencies. And then I'd probably go Reed and then Sar 1, 2, 3. And then it gets incredibly murky from there, even still.
It's interesting that we were all like the hipster kind of basketball boner in the offseason for us. I feel like it's not that he's failed, but it just feels like the other parts of their offense that have leveled up, I think, have taken our attention off of him making like an on-ball leap. Because I'll watch their games and I would be like, kind of feels like Amin's kind of trying to find where to fit into this. When it was when we came into the season, we were like, I feel like Amin's going to have his hands on the steering wheel a little bit more.
Yeah, he's definitely showing more as like a downhill scorer and just an overall scorer than like kind of in the midst of all these good things happening with the Rockets, which is very scary for everyone else because he's being able to develop, and Reed in his own right is developing, even though they're just kind of storming through the season thus far.
Well, Justin, while we're talking downhill scores and overall scores, I would like to put forward my favorite leap of the season. Ryan motherfucking Rollins, guys.
Oh, I thought you were going with a different one in my neck of the woods, but that's okay.
What's wrong with Ryan Rollins?
Nothing wrong with him. Nothing wrong with him.
An energy guy becoming a 20 a game starting point guard isn't exciting enough for you?
No, it is. It's just there's one closer to my heart that I thought you were going for.
This is fair.
We'll get
there. Ryan Rollins is close to my heart. And in particular, we talk all the time about these guys who come into the league as stoppers first, and then what happens when they get the reins? What happens when they get the opportunity? This is a guy who has just kind of grabbed hold of the starting point guard spot in what I think a lot of people were sort of penciling in Kevin Porter Jr. to have over the course of this season. Injuries opened up that opportunity. Rollins jumps in, and his production skyrockets. He gets to the rim more often than basically any guard in the league. And at the same time, he's also leading the league in deflections even still. And so it's like he hasn't sacrificed the things that we loved about role player Ryan Rollins as he is becoming legit second option. Now we're going to try to guard you with a Sar Thompson level Ryan Rollins.
He's been great. And honestly, he changes maybe perhaps the mindset of the Bucks this year, because if he can be a starting caliber point guard, and he's been fairly good without Giannis in there, we'll see, because they have this stretch that's really going to kind of dictate how good the supporting cast really is. Like, all of a sudden I'm like, maybe Michael Porter Jr. isn't looking too bad as like a fourth option, third option sort of guy to put around Rollins and Giannis.
Kevin Porter Jr. And coming into the season, that was pretty.
No, I'm saying trade for Michael Porter Jr.
Oh, okay. I mean,
yes.
Okay. That could come up again later. You'd be putting MPJ in a situation. We'll talk a little Nets later. Man. Yeah, we will. Just a little. Okay. Rollins is just such a smooth mover, man. You hate to just really, really oversimplify it at times, but when you just watch him, how fluid and smooth he is with the basketball, it's like he can just get to spots. Sometimes it's just that simple, and it kind of makes you wonder why he was ever overlooked in the first place, because they're guys just his balance and he just attacks gaps really smoothly. He's been a revelation for sure. You want me to say mine? My next
who you got?
Yours. You all might not agree with this choice, but I think that this was a course correction in a way that could extend this guy's career, I think, in a major way, and that's Keontae George. So I remember when we were writing about him in the rookie rankings, I was like, okay, this is a guy who really loves his dribble pull up, and he can pass a little bit, but when he would get into the mid range, he was just very in a knot about what his decision making. And this year, man, he has really made some really incredible leaps. Like his points in the paint this year are way, way up. 7.9 from 4.7 last year. Just has his wits about him in the paint way more. Which is causing him to access some more of that playmaking. And it's also allowing him to get to the line a little bit. And I think taking pressure off of him just being like, when I come off of this screen, people were soft showing on him a lot and being like, by all means, please take that 31% dribble pull up three. His catch and shoot numbers are pretty good from three. Granted, overall, it's lower. It's been a little bit lower, but I just think he's detangled, to stick with the knot thing. I think he's detangled this a little bit in a really mature way. And if you listen to Will Hardy talk about him, they seem like they're very pleased with a lot of this stuff. So if the shooting stabilizes, I feel like his career has sort of corrected itself in a way that could really affect his trajectory.
I mean, how could you not be pleased with it? Like, especially last year, watching him just like made me feel so empty inside. Like there was just something about the way he was playing that was like, oh, I don't like the decision making. I don't like the return on basically any shot he's taking. And granted, a lot of that was with like lineups that the Jazz were rolling out that did not have Lauri Markkanen in them, did not have functional NBA ecosystem around him. So just getting a normal, functioning, movement-oriented team, and he can be the guy who is knifing to the basket in the way you're describing, Kyle. Like that's a huge shift for him, but he also had to make that shift.
Was it one of the worst shooting seasons on record that really didn't do it for you?
You know what? It's funny how that works.
Yeah. 39% from the field last year to back end of another 39% as a rookie. Yeah, he's been a revelation this year. I'm curious what his kind of ceiling is. I agree that he's stabilized, and perhaps I should just appreciate where we are now, but my mind keeps drifting to like down the road, because with the Jazz, it's all down the road, right? And so Kyle, do you think he's a starting caliber backcourt player in this league?
I mean, if he's going to be starting caliber on a like competent competitive team, the shooting is going to need to he's going to need to level it out. He balanced one, and that's going to need to come up. I just think that I really thought he was in trouble. Like, I know what you said. Like that's why he threw himself a life preserver with this. And from everything I understand, he's just really taken it. Maybe the fact that I was joking in the offseason that when they drafted Clayton, I was like, Clayton's not a terribly dissimilar style player, and Clayton's pull-up stuff was a lot more projectable and believable to me. And I was like, Keontae, maybe it lit a fire under him. I don't know. I don't know about superstar, but I think he's definitely put himself in the position to be at least a rotation level player on like a competent team if he continues this and the shooting stabilizes. I don't know what you all think.
Yeah. So I also had Lauri down here in terms of like surprises, if we're talking about Jazz guys, just because he'd kind of been in the wilderness the past 2 years since the All-Star Most Improved breakthrough, partly because he was injured, partly because he was injured in air quotes. And so
also trade ineligible, it's also funny how that works.
Yeah. And so I have him in this like kind of weird subgroup called the Still Got It's, where he's the 7th leading scorer in the NBA as we're recording this. Like it's almost 30 a game. It's just absolute bonkers stuff. And then with him is Tyrese Maxey, who's a guy like we're talking top, 15 style player who has completely reoriented the Sixers to him and like how he plays and like his timeline. Like I thought a leap was coming, Rob. I didn't think it was going to be like potential MVP candidate sort of leap.
Here's the question. Is Tyrese Maxey taking a leap, or is he just stacking 3 or 4 years in a row of like giant bounding steps forward? Like this isn't the one step. It's kind of been a
natural progression.
Not just an unnatural progression, I would say.
Sure.
Like incredible movement in terms of who he is as a player, how you have to guard him, and to your point about how you think of him within your own organization and what your orbit becomes. Like he rightly is in that class of player now. He is the kind of creator who presents so many problems. I don't even know how to approach stopping them as someone who's trying to build a defense against him.
Are you saying that his development was just sort of like the revolution was not televised kind of thing? Like he was getting this good, we just weren't getting to see it. And then once he's getting this opportunity, it's just like, oh my God, he's gotten a lot better. We just weren't getting to see it play out as incrementally because of the way the roster was.
I'm thinking about him in the spirit of the leaps. This is not a guy standing in place and making one giant leap. This is an Olympic long jumper who is doing the huge steps in addition to the big leap at the end. And so, yes, it is a great leap forward, but also the last couple steps have been pretty fucking awesome too.
But to that point, you can kind of see the progression happening where it's like he was pushing volume on threes, wasn't doing so well, but you'd say it paying off now where it's like he's jacking almost 10 a game and he's shooting at a high volume. It's just like every step of the way feels like a natural rung in what would be his complete form. And I have to give credit to Daryl Morey and just like his system again, Kyle, because like he sees the way to like push players to their absolute maximum, and he's doing it again with Maxey
Moan. I had to. It was right there. It was begging. I think one thing too,
set it up for you.
He just was like a comet streaking to the basket. Whenever I watch him now, I'm just like, in the past, it was like, okay, he's coming off of this handoff or he's back cutting and he's so fast getting to the spot. He was like shooting off like above the square at time, those type of floaters and things. When I watch him now, I'm just like, he's undeniable getting to the paint. He's so strong. And you can just see him embracing the angularity is still there, but that's the shooting obviously too. But he's been really impressive in that adjustment.
I think he might have the best half court speed of any player in the league.
It's
that
wild.
quick burst. And granted, the shooting opens a lot of that up, and all of a sudden you get a clear runway when you can shoot the way he does, but it's remarkable.
Yeah. So I have like 9 other players listed down here. I'll just kind of rattle some off. AJ Mitchell, we talk about practically every podcast. Jalen Duren, we just did last podcast. Scotty Barnes, I think also talked about last podcast. Yep. Norm Powell and Jaime Jaquez. Of course, Norm Powell was a free player for the Miami Heat. Remember that? That trade didn't go so well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Does Con Knipple count as a leap? Because he just keeps getting better every time I watch. He's a rookie who's played like 15 games at this point, but like, he was the best player on the court against the Clippers the other night with Miller and LaMelo in the lineup. That's pretty good. And then I have Denny Avdia, who, goddamn, just a completely different player. Like, you definitely saw flashes of the player he's becoming now with the Wizards, but it's very much you made it a hot line, you made it a hot song sort of thing, where just like he's doubling his 3-point rate, doubling the free throw rate. He's the best player on this team, and I think could easily slot into being probably a number 2 on like a title contending team at this point.
He's been awesome. I think we still need to, to kind of pivot off the Maxey conversation. Like the half court stuff from him, I still want to see a little bit more. Like he's such a great transition weapon, and he turns what for other teams would be stagnant possessions into sort of like semi-transition opportunities with the flow that he plays with. That's really that's something not a lot of players do enough of, and he just does in spades. But like the ground down need to make something out of the muck possessions, I do want to see a little more from him.
Yeah, like true number 1 superstar.
Totally.
Stuff. Yes.
And that's what separates it, right?
His ability to the way that he's learned to play with pace has just really caused him to have an explosion in his game, because a lot of the IQ and things like that, they were there. It was like we needed to see it. It's just been sort of I always say like the bonding agent. That's just really him playing with pace, because he's so big. I mean, you just watch him. The fact that he's been able to do that, he's been able to say like, my handle's not shaky anymore. I'm bigger than you, and just exerting his will. But I do agree. I mean, I want to see a little bit more, but yeah, he's surpassed what I thought he would be for sure already.
Do you guys have any other names you want to throw out there?
It's mostly guys we've already talked about. I mean, like I think we hit the big ones. Castle, again, I think is worthy of note here. Aaron Gordon for his scoring jump this season. But I think we hit most of like the leaps that have really kind of told the story of the NBA campaign so far. It's a lot of like what Jaden McDaniels is doing and what Jalen Duren is doing. Like these are meaningful changes that I think could have not just an impact for the playoff race this year, but like we could know a lot about where the NBA is going to be 3 years from now by how good Jalen Duren is right now.
All right. Biggest disappointment, flip side of things. So this could be a player or a team. Rob, you want to go first?
It's got to be the Clippers.
I mean, I had them as a close second, but go ahead.
They were a 50-win team last season, and they're currently 5-11. I know that they were playing over their head a little bit. I know that there was like some magic in the sauce last year that maybe they were going to come back down to earth. I didn't think they were going to come back down to a 26-win pace. That's not something that I expected. And I would say this has been especially disappointing because James Harden has been really fucking good. And so for him to be producing and scoring in the way he is, like, I mean, he's putting up 28, 9, and 6 on 46, 41, 90 shooting. Jesus. And they're this bad. Like he is putting forth a Herculean effort this season and cannot lift this offense to even league average. It's such a bummer. Like they're so hard to watch. There is like a structural thing that is kind of busted in their design because they are so old and so slow and way too deliberate. And all that's just been accentuated by the injuries that they've had, where they can't even really get back to the basics of what made them good last year because some of those guys are gone. Some of those guys are out of the lineup. Brad Beal was supposed to come in and replace Norm. That obviously didn't work out. He's out for the year. There's just a cascading effect that has made them, I think, the defining disappointment of the league so far.
This team has kind of been like, I was trying to think of, this reminds me of the like Monuments Men. Did you all see that movie where it was like, or I was thinking about, what was that movie, The Crew, that had like Richard Dreyfuss and a bunch of like older actors who were clearly just kind of getting together for a movie. And you were like, this will be fun. And then you're like, man, it has not been fun at all. This
is kind of Space Cowboys energy, you know? Like,
right.
Can we call the Clippers the Space Cowboys? I love that.
Wouldn't hate it. I mean, they got all of their moves wrong. over the offseason, it looks like. We'll see about John Collins. He's the only one who is even close to a spring chicken, but like Bradley Beal failed. Chris Paul looks like he's hot potatoing the ball at any chance he gets. It's not like Chris Paul setting someone up, being passed first. It's like, get this out of my hands. I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez has been bad. And then to see Norm Powell just re-energize a Heat team with like this new exciting offense that we haven't seen before. And just like they're playing at this crazy pace. It's just, you gave that away for what ends up being just like a couple old guys who can't get up and down. So I have their offseason specifically in addition to just overall team success.
Well, and like the net effect of that offseason, when you take away a go-to scorer like Norm Powell and you take away some of the ecosystem of what made this team so good defensively, and you're replacing it with all of these extremely veteran parts that either are healthy but ineffective or unhealthy and not able to play, they just don't get anything easy ever. Like they don't force turnovers. They don't get offensive rebounds. They don't have enough shooting anymore to get like Zoo actually rolling to the rim with space and momentum. And nobody gets to the free throw line other than James Harden. And so then it's just every possession is a slog all the time. And they don't get back the other way to actually defend in the way they need to defend.
So I had them as a close second to my number one team and my number one pairing, which is John Morant and Jaren Jackson of the Grizzlies, because
okay, fair.
This is pretty dire to the point where like Ja in street clothes was like trying to talk shit to Klay Thompson, but was shut down like pretty definitively. Like Klay was just like very calm and measured and was just like, nah, like what are you doing? Like, and it kind of underlined the fact that Ja's kind of become a joke in the league at this point, which is very sad considering we thought at one point he was going to be our bright and shining boy, just like taking us to a new era of basketball. And so there's that in and of itself, but Jaren Jackson on top of that, I know the injuries might be still lingering because he started slow going into preseason. We didn't know if he was going to be there opening night, all that. But like the rebounding is down, the blocks are down, and the turnovers are way up. Like he seems almost like a byproduct of whatever mess is going on with Ja, and that is where I'm getting incredibly concerned.
Yeah, I feel like Jaren's been kind of whatever in a series where they really needed him to be good. And so that combination of Ja is both injured and just like a new wrinkle that has torpedoed the present tense and maybe future of the Memphis Grizzlies, and they don't have any functional point guards to the point that Vince Williams has to like, that's not even moonlighting as that job. Like there's no universe in which Vince Williams should be your point guard, and yet he kind of has to be at times for where they are right now. So I grade them on a little bit of a curve based on the horrid stacking injuries of not having Ja and Scottie Pippen and Ty Jerome. Like that's going to put any team behind the eight ball. But you would hope in a situation like this that someone like Jaren would show a new aspect of his game, frankly, in a way that he's already done with their injury history before. When they've had guys out, he became more of a ball handler. He evolved as a player. This version of Jaren is just kind of like fine, and that's not good enough.
Yeah, he's not making the drink stirring kind of leap that we would like. And I had Ja down too. His biggest disappointment. I mean, there's the basketball side of it, and that, you know, if you just look at the way he's attacking the game, I mean, his self-created stuff, his efficiency is down. You know, ISO 0.59, abysmal, lowest point output since his rookie year. And those things could be fine if you were making the argument of like, hey, it just feels like there's a defensiveness coming from an identity crisis that's making me think that maybe and when you tie it into the style of play stuff that was going on last year and hear him talk about like, oh, you all wanted me to do this, you wanted me to do that, you can see we were talking about Keontae getting into the paint. Ja's not scoring in the paint as much. He's doing more, and his 3-point percentage has come down. It's all just out of whack. I mean, like he's frisky in passing lanes and things on that like that on defense, but he's not being the offensive leader and that they need him to be. And the Klay thing, man, I mean, it's just Klay was spot on. I mean, you saw most of the internet there being like, hey, buddy. I mean, Klay being washed at this point, it seems obvious, is the result of him going through runs and going through wars that Ja is not putting himself in the position to go fight. So I thought that was pretty lame from him.
Yeah, what was so cutting about it was he was almost clinical in how he was talking about Ja, where he's just like, yeah, he rarely takes accountability. It was almost just like he really needs to deal with his past trauma, you know? Like he was almost at a certain point complimentary of him. Like he started going on and he was just like, this guy was supposed to be it, and he's kind of not. And so like what are you going to do? He's a funny guy. Like, it wasn't just like, fuck this guy, Barb here, there. It was just like real, like, slight cuts that really just kind of underlined the problem with Ja. And I think we all thought maybe the injuries would undo Ja at some point, or just the off the court stuff would just completely consume him and just like sully the whole picture there. But really, it's the off the court behavior filtering into on the court. And it's more just reluctance than anything else. Like, of all the things that Ja was dealing with in the past, I didn't think it was just going to be he would sit on his hands and not want to like participate. Like, this is the worst, I think, possible outcome of anything, because yeah, he's out every now and then. He was out in this game, which was pretty funny because he was doing this in like a sweatsuit basically. But it really has been just like him not being motivated, which is really fucked up.
Yeah, I think we lean too much into the idea that he was a competitor and a winner, which I think is true in a sense. But ultimately, what he is incredibly stubborn and does not want to change who he is as a player. The fact that, Kyle, I'm not sure if these are the quotes you were alluding to or not, but like he had some lines earlier this season when people were questioning, like, why aren't you getting to the basket more? And he was talking about, oh, I thought you wanted me to drive less so I wouldn't get hurt. Like, it's like the way he's like trying to flip things on their head is not quite the gotcha he imagined. Because the ultimate gotcha is like, you are just not a high functioning star level NBA player anymore with the way you're performing. And that's when you're healthy and out there, to say nothing about the costs that come to the Grizzlies with his, lack of availability over the years.
I also have the Pacers down here, but that one's a little bit more expected. The injuries started and they just fucking just turn the key. They're like,
you mad at the Pacers? I'm fine.
We'll see it
Talk to us in June when they get a top 5 pick. Like, it's gonna be all right for them, I think.
Real pick yourself by your bootstraps, energy. Real hillbilly elegy energy from Justin right there. It's just like, it's your fault.
Well,
it's your fault.
I didn't want to bring it up.
I
didn't want to bring it up, but Jarris Walker, I think we could bury him at this point.
Wow. I have no retort. I'm just hurting personally.
It's tough.
He just
needs to be in a winning enviorment. He's one of those to
succeed.
We're just waiting. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do something a little bit more positive, which is the big boy of the 1 month. I don't know what to call this, because we had big boy of the month, which was each month Kyle's thing where he just nominates a big guy. I'm still kind of lost on the definition. We're now at the 1 month mark, which is a different thing. So, Kyle, if you'll allow it, we'll do a big boy of the 1 month.
A big boy is a noun. It is a thing. It is a big guy. It is a big person. Yeah. But a big boy is also a verb. I mean, it is a thing you do to somebody. The smallest person in the world could big boy the biggest person in the world, Justin. So,
absolutely.
I think the big boy of the season so far. Well, I don't know. You can debate this. I don't have any like numbers to. This is all eye test. I watch the Rockets a lot. I think Şengün.
But you don't have an algorithm.
I don't. People are probably fucking relieved. Don't rattle off a bunch. Okay, so Şengün, I think has been the big boy this season. I think if you didn't know anything about basketball, you could see that he has just forced his will and propelled them in a way that I think has been incredible and has made a leap. I think. I think Şengün's the big boy of the season so far, honestly.
I think it's a great pick. I have 2 names written down, both Houston Rockets. I think Şengün and Steven Adams both have a case for big boy of the year.
Love that.
The big boys come in many forms. I think Şengün is very much in the spirit of the name and the verb that Kyle's describing, which is to like plow through somebody, like, ultimately like the physicality in attacking and scoring that is, to me, most commonly associated with big boying. But then you watch Steven Adams going full like older brother on the Nerf hoop on the offensive glass. And it's just like, this is also big boy. Like, I saw him box out Goga Batadze with one arm, Jonathan Isaac with the other arm. Can you guess who got the rebound? Of course it was Steven Adams. And he does this shit all the time.
How strong must he be? I just can't even imagine how helpless you feel if he's just, because he's not extending, he's just like holding his arm, like he's just like, no, you're not coming in. He's a bouncer basically.
Yes.
And it doesn't look like he's a workout freak, or like he's just like in the off season just deadlifting with Olympic weightlifters. It's just more that like he probably grew up like carrying trees to like around his house to build log. It's like that type of strength, just like ingrained into who he is as a person.
There are 2 kinds of people from New Zealand. One of them is people who look like Steven Adams, and the other one is like, you look like Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords. Like, those are the only 2 types of people in that country. And so, the NBA gets the Steven Adams version.
Well, this is appropriate because, I mean, the Rockets are probably the biggest big boy team in recent history. The rebounding rate we've talked about, and these two guys are really the source of that for a lot of it. I went a different route based on recent results, which is I have Nikola Vucevic big boying his own teammates.
Oh, wow, that's
a
creative.
spiritual big boy.
So they beat the
shit. Clay spiritually big boyed Morant. He
true.
did.
Right.
You just expanded my horizons, Justin. I never thought about spiritually big boying people. Go, by all means, please continue.
Yeah, let me throw this at you because they beat the Wizards in dramatic fashion, and Nikola Vucevic is just not happy. He thinks they played like shit. They did play like shit, and he's just worried about the long term. And so he's giving this walk-off interview where he's basically sullen. He's like, man, we really didn't have it tonight. Oof, can't believe this. Meanwhile, his teammates come about and just like start trying to whoop him up to the point where someone's like, come on, man, be happy on Mike. And he's like, no. He actually at one point walks away because he doesn't want to deal with Jalen Smith. It was like a little concerning, but I also think an ultimate big boy if we're really kind of drilled down on the meaning here.
They deserve to be big boyed a little bit. It was very uncomfortable though. It was a little like
big boy.
the iconic interview of Stan Van Gundy talking about the dissolution of the Orlando Magic as he sips a Diet Pepsi, and then Dwight Howard walks up behind him and tries to crack some jokes, not knowing what they're talking about. That seemed to be the vibe as Vooch was like chewing out his team via post-game interview.
Apparently gave him a post-game locker room, just like slap on the wrist. So that's a big boy.
How does that make you feel, Justin, about the state of your Bulls, though?
I feel fine. I think
this is
getting healthier.
Business as usual. Now, like you got to be big boyed sometimes.
They're over 500, like a month into the season. This is all found money at this point.
Some people pay to be big boyed. We don't have to go down that road. But.
All right, let's go to preseason mulligan. 2 categories left. This was tough because a lot of my predictions my predictions are typically right, and so a lot of the mulligans I need are the ones that everyone's wrong about.
Well, let's get on with it then. So, like, who do you need a mulligan on?
I have the ones we've talked about. I have Clippers, Grizzlies, Pacers, Suns. I had Clippers at 8th in our preseason power rankings. I had the Magic 9th, and although they're turning things around, 9th is a little high, and the Grizzlies 15th. So those would be the ones I'd target. What do you have?
I think Suns and Raptors.
Suns are a good one.
You know, again, Suns, like we just did not think that this would be a functional team, that there would be enough ball handling, that Devin Booker would be overburdened within that offense, that they wouldn't have enough defensively to, make up for it, even though they would have energy. And yet they've just been able to hold everything down in every way. And I think for Toronto specifically, I didn't think Toronto's offense was going to have the spacing and the flow to work at a really high level. They've been one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. So like we got to take the big old L on that one.
You said they stunk. You said they stunk, Rob, early in the season, and you don't get credit now. You can't talk about them. You're not allowed to praise them. You can't change your tune now. It's too late.
Sometimes you stink and then you're good. Sometimes you big boy yourself and you become one of the best teams in your conference. And I would like to salute the Raptors for that.
Yeah, I had those 2 written down also. I have a kind of a random one. Maybe it's just my own kind of worrying about Derek Queen. I feel like I was a little wrong in some of my worries about him. Like I said before, I had him 8 on my board. I ultimately was going to slide him down because I was so worried, but I was like, he's so talented. Honestly, I don't know if he's going to be high enough. Just he's looked so phenomenal. We were talking about the true spirit of League Pass rankings and things like that before we came on, and the Pelicans are weirdly climbing because there's some interesting stuff. It's still bleak. Be clear. It is still bleak. They don't have their pick. I don't even know if they could be. I don't even know if they tried. They could not be bad. But there's some interesting stuff going on with. Specifically, I was watching Trey Murphy, Zion. That's one thing I was wrong about that. I was just like, I don't know about Queen and Zion. It's been a little interesting. They've been doing some kind of like driveway pick and roll kind of stuff between the two of them. That's interesting. I think the thing that is, Zion, Queen, and Trey together in actions has been cool. But the thing that I think I underestimated with Queen was you can't purely scapegoat him as a spot up guy that you can ignore, like spatially, because he's so good at driving to the basket without needing a straight line in a way that big guys just typically aren't. Like, even if you don't close on him, he's like, I'm just going to saunter towards you and just dribble to the basket. He's like, oh, you're just slowly I'm not really worried about that. And that's kind of a quality that Şengün and Jokic also have for big guys, is that they can call their own number and create paint touches in a way that a lot of other big guys can't. And then the passing and stuff pops in incredible ways that has made them fun to watch.
I mean, you're talking about three of the better ball handling bigs in the league right now. Like, that's what that comfort comes from. And with Derek Queen specifically, might have my favorite spin move in basketball. Like the way he's just gliding off of people as he, pirouettes to the rim. Incredible shit.
I almost need a league pass alert for whenever Queen is like going off. Like he had 7 assists, I think in the first quarter, was it the other night? And
that's every game now.
I know. I want people to alert me when it's really kind of popping off. And like you've seen some of the big old boys of league history start to take note. You had Tim Duncan texting one of the sideline analysts like, oh, kind of like that Queen guy. And then Jokic at the very least indulged the idea of a comp there more than he is typically willing to do. And so I was like, Derek Queen might be something there. So I watched most of that game the other night where they actually put up a fight for a quarter and then got absolutely blitzed by the Hawks. They're fun, and they're fun in the bad ways too, because they let that game get away from them. Queen stealing the ball when clock's going down and he's all of a sudden about to fight Vic Krejci. It's just like, this is great. They're definitely top 5 on my league pass rankings right now.
Really, really terrific watch. I'm so glad we have them. I'm so glad they have found ways to make their basketball fun again, if not win games.
Right. And when they get AJ DeBonsa next year, unfortunately, no.
I don't know if he'd be the guy for them. Well, even if they could.
I can promise you, none of them are going to be the guy for them.
That's true.
It
doesn't matter.
Well, since we're talking about going forward here, whose stock are you guys buying low on from this point forward? This is the last one we have on this list. I kind of know what Kyle's going to do. Am I right?
Do you?
I think you're going to pick the Magic, winners of 7 of 8.
I don't think their stock's low anymore. I was going to say I took them off. We're going to have to circle back. I've been cracking nonstop. No one's responding to them because I'm just trolling this. But we're going to have to circle back to this at some point because it's getting to the point where a question needs to be asked. Did something develop because Paolo was gone, or did something independent of Paolo develop that he can, like while he was gone, that he can come back and join? Is he going to disrupt it when he comes back? I just think I think there's a longer track for this conversation, granted. So, but that one's interesting to me. We'll have to circle back sometime.
Yeah, see, some of us understand that correlation and causality are not the same thing, and that sometimes things just happen along the same timeline for reasons that are not necessarily causally related.
And some people
just
aren't willing to accept what is plainly occurring. We can put all these numbers and all this other stuff out there. I think they're just, I wouldn't say better, but certainly an easier team to watch. Certainly a more sprightly sort of unit without him there. 7 of 8. The only time they lost was that Rockets OT game that Kyle and I talked about 2 weeks ago. So there's something happened there. I had them down as buying low, but I think you're right. I don't know if you could buy low at this point.
Yeah, I think if you want to like nail it down, you could buy low on like Desmond Bane if you want. You could buy low on elements that are starting to turn around but haven't clicked in the way that the Magic overall have clicked. That would be eligible. But yeah, the Magic, they might be too good at this point to be a buy low candidate.
Okay. So who do you have?
Price isn't good. I'm about to say the most Kyle Mann ass thing ever, so please don't. Just brace yourself. I'm going to buy low on the Nets rookies because this is a low one. You got to admit, this is a low one.
That's
a penny stock.
I was looking for penny stocks, and I was looking at the way this team's built, abysmally built, as we know. If the guys that they drafted, I just think their skill sets are in the wilderness because the top 2 usage players on this team are Cam Thomas at 31.5 and MPJ at 26.2. And the players that they picked are deferrers to the point where they will just disappear because the guys that they are feeding to are not reciprocating in any possible way. And then their skills. I think that Yegor Diamond, or how I don't even know. Is it Diamond? Dioman?
I don't know where the O came from.
Where'd the umlaut come from? I didn't even know the umlaut was there. I was like, it was I thought there was something on my screen. I was like rubbing on my screen. And then I was watching some Danny Wolf. I think he's going to come around. I think he's been doing really, really well in the G League. They have no incentive to bring him back. They want to be terrible. It's just like, go be good there. And then Drake Powell's been scrappy.
Tearing up Long Island, you're telling us.
I just don't. Maybe they shouldn't have kept all 5. Maybe they should have kept 3. But I think there are 3 guys there that I actually have kind of watched because I was unsure about it. And I was like, I'm not out on them. I think they're good players. It's just this team is a disaster.
I mean, the team's awful. Ultimately, like a win for the Nets with these guys is like if 2 of them are good. that's a success. And I think we overstate with the draft, just like if you have multiple selections that, oh my God, you're supposed to have a hit rate of whatever. Most draft picks fail. Like most of these guys do not turn out to be long-term NBA players. 60 guys are drafted every year, and how many of them really and truly stick? And then among that group, how many of them are really and truly stars? It's not a robust class. And so, yes, it would be great if Igor Joman turns out to be like a legit all-star level starting point guard. It would be great if like Ben Suraf could show something that would prove he's like a stable NBA player, which I don't think he's really done yet. It's very early days. I'm not making any conclusive like landing with any of these guys as of yet. Give them time. Frankly, this is a team that's going to be more exciting to watch in March than it is right now anyway.
They're not done any favors by 5 to 8 guys from this class just immediately having an impact on the NBA, which is just so rare. Like over the course of the season, very few rookies are ever a net positive. And you're right, it's 15 games. Like we'll see. I think you're right. Not all 5 are going to hit, but if they get 1 or 2 of these guys to be like foundational contributors, they'll be fine. So I'm not worried about the Nets.
Yeah.
But this is what you do when you're a bad team. You just cycle through bets and just hope that one hits. And so I don't really get it. But
so yeah, it would be great if they had Cedric Coward or Derek Queen, like players they were in a position to take potentially. But we do that with every draft class. Like, why didn't this team draft Rajon Rondo? It's like it's a tale as old as time, honestly.
They almost had Young too.
It's true.
Oh man,
could have had it all.
Yeah.
Rob, did you give your pick?
Not yet. I'm buying low on the Milwaukee Bucks. Is that a fair buy low candidate? The 8 and 9, currently 11th place Milwaukee Bucks.
I guess, but how much of that is driven by Giannis not being available?
Well, that's kind of my point. I feel like we're getting in, we're frothing everything up, being like, oh my God, the Raptors, oh my God, the Pistons, the Heat, and the way that they're playing this season, the Knicks, who are kind of turning things around, and ultimately I think people still believe in as like a legitimate contender. I just think we're going to look up and the Bucks are going to be a top 4 or 5 team in the East when all is said and done. And that's not quite on paper right now, but that's who this team is.
Yeah. I have a similar one because my pick was the Magic, but they're playing the Celtics today. So we're recording this before that game. Celtics are almost too good to fail at this point. Now they've been pretty healthy, at least amongst like their core guys. And Anthony Simons is just like instantly in Joe Mazzulla's doghouse. And like just everyone seems to hate him because they're so used to two-way play, and watching a guy like shoot 23s a game and just like score only in like 1 minute burst is like so completely anathema to what they do. But like the Mies Keita has been pretty good. Like they found some guys that like can fill in. They're almost, I think they're going to be hanging around for so long. You almost wonder what will happen with Tatum and his timeline and all that. And like, if they're still in this mix in the top 10 by like February and he comes back, like all of a sudden they're pretty interesting.
I hear what you're saying about them being too good to fail. Like there is a baseline for the Celtics that is keeping them afloat in a way that these other just like bad teams in the East don't have. They're also just a team in the East that, because they're in the East, plays a lot of bad teams. And it's, I'm really having a hard time putting my finger on like how good are the Celtics actually competitively within the broader NBA environment. They're fine, and ultimately, like maybe fine is too good to fail for their circumstances. And there are small stories within their season that are absolutely worth celebrating. But what are we buying here for the purposes of this year? Like where are they going? What are they going to do beyond what they're doing right now?
Competitive in the East versus tanking to the degree of like the Pacers, where it's just like there's no hope. Let's just play for the pick. You're right. I think they would probably be like 12th in the West right now. Like they'd be probably on the level of the Utah Jazz. But since they're in the East, there's a big old opportunity to just be fine and still play some playing games and maybe a few playoff games.
Yeah. I mean, famously lost to the Utah Jazz. They just can't measure up to the true elites of the Western Conference.
I say you trade Simons, you go the other way. I think that's what they should do.
I don't think that would hurt them, unfortunately.
You don't? Really? Well, I mean,
I think.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
Simons is useful for what he does, but it just doesn't seem like they particularly love his use. But, he'll go off like he did against the Nets the other night.
Who couldn't have seen that coming? Anthony Simons and Joe Mazzulla not meshing. That was, wow, shocking.
It's true. All right. Any other stocks or anything else you guys want to get out here after 1 month, reflecting upon your own personal journeys after a month?
I think we crushed it. We gave out lots of awards. We have bought and sold stocks. We've reinvented how to consume coffee. I think we've done a lot for one pod.
That's right. I don't even think they're necessarily awards. I think at one point you pointed out accurately that these are more superlatives, but we're not changing it now. All right, we'll be back on Wednesday as per usual with a little something special. We got an NBA potluck as per usual with a special guest. We're not going to tell you who that is. Could it be Werner Herzog? Could it be Kevin Hart? Who's to say?
Charlotte Hornets.
I'm imagining the Werner Herzog narration about Lauri Markkanen. Oh my God. Why didn't we ask Werner Herzog?
Madness. Yeah.
Chicago Bulls.
Okay, that's Arnold.
Yeah, it's so tricky. I started when my brain said do Herzog voice, my mouth went Arnold, and I was like, oh man, what's the difference? So that's
I heard it in my head, but when it came out, it didn't sound anything like what I expected.
I have just a really quick flyby. I wrote down. You'll probably like abbreviate. I have my own like system of abbreviations, shorthand. But I wrote down Vic Wimby. What does Vic Wimby sound like? Vic Wimby kind of sounds like a record executive. I don't know. Who is Vic Wimby?
Isn't that the main character on The Shield?
It sounds like Vic Wimby could be a police officer. I could see that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
The one who doesn't play by everyone else's rules. He's really skirting the line.
Yeah, Vic Wimby, Tower Records. Yeah.
Let's wrap it there. Thank you to Isaiah Blakely. Thank you to Victoria Valencia. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll see you then. Must be 21 plus and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.